So, can the humble WR450F handle being an adventure bike? Well, we're about to find out. I know there's a few elephants in the room. I know for one, there's an oil capacity issue. I know for two, the fuel range with the standard 7-litre tank is pretty much ridiculous. Thirdly, there's a 5-speed gearbox that's pretty well set for enduro riding, although we call it a wide range box. And then fourthly, we've got a pretty, I won't say fragile subframe, because they're not. I haven't found too many forums or whatnot, people saying that they're actually breaking, but look, it's a light subframe, there's no doubt about it. But if you're like me and you actually own one of these things, then the chances are you're actually going to love it. And just like me, thought to myself, well, if I'm going to do the Simpson Desert, then I may as well do it on something that I actually really enjoy riding, and it's got a nice lightweight feel to it, and I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get the kilometres out of it, because I believe these things are very reliable. So here's just a few things that I wanted to list down that I've actually done in preparation for the trip myself. So we'll be leaving Mackay in Queensland and trailering a few bikes out. There's actually quite a large group of us where we'll put them into the trailer and then unload the trailer at Longreach, and our trip basically begins from Longreach. From there, we'll, in an all sort of basic commentary, we're going to head to the Flinders, then we're going to go up to Coober Pedy, or across to Coober Pedy, up to Mount Dare, across the French line to Birdsville, then through the Diamantina back to Longreach, before heading back into the coastline of sunny Central Coast Queensland. A few things that I've actually done that I wanted to sort of talk about, because this is the area that I found there wasn't a lot of information. I'm a regular YouTuber, I enjoy watching it, love watching the Victorians. I reckon if there was ever state of origin with enduro riding, you Victorians would definitely have it. Tough breed down there with all that cool weather, and we're all quite sooky up here. So my freshen up after only putting 7,000 Ks on this bike from new. We've done the swing arm bearings, new stator and regulator. I do tend to overthink shit, so please bear with me. I've put a clutch in it, Technic rear spring, just to get the kilos up a little bit, because I only had the standard in there. We've got a Samco hose set base put through it, new wheel bearings, brake pads, fuel pump, good service, changing oil and fluids, all filters, etc. And I'm taking a new clutch cable with me also. On top of the freshen up, we've got the Safari tank. Pretty stoked in the tank, actually, to be honest. It had some minor fitting issues, mainly around the actual where the fuel pump goes into, but nothing that couldn't be overcome. We've got, it actually takes 7.5 litres, even though it is actually only rated as a 15.5. I put the seat concept comfort seat on it. Massive improvement, but I still think I'm going to have a few issues, because it is quite a slim seat. So I've got myself an Airhawk seat just to flip over the top of there for a couple of those long days. B&B rear rack. This thing was freaking quality. This thing, straight out of the box, just absolutely bolted up smick. Really impressive, all the welding and finish on it. Great product. Built in Australia too, which is really good. I've got a Ridge Rider 6.5-inch driving light on there, although I'm told we won't be riding in the dark. I reckon we're about a 50, more than a 50-50 that's going to happen. Windscreen just straight out of Adventure Moto. Gearing combination, I've played around with it a lot. Gear Commander's a top site to sort of try and work out what you're doing there. I've decided a 1444. I stuck with the 14 at the front, because you can just keep the standard case saver on there, didn't have to go making shit up. And basically, with that 44 rear, it just sits okay around that 100, 110's not an issue, yet I've still got plenty of torque, so I'm pretty happy with that. I've always had a GYTR bash plate on it, pretty much from when I bought it, and of course I put a GYTR exhaust on it. If I had my time again, I probably would have just, doing what we're doing, thrown the standard one back on, but when we relocated back over from Western Australia to Mackay, I didn't pack unnecessary shit with me and basically left that one at home. I've also added some 30mm bar risers. Didn't put any sort of steering damper on it. I'm not Toby Price, I don't think I'm going to have any issue there. I'm running a 700i Montana from Garmin, so I've got that in-range capability. and can communicate back home. And there's a whole bunch of us that have got various Garmin products that all intertalks with each other. Standard GoPro, quad lock, etc. There's nothing really flash on that. She's all pretty standard. Right to the point, I'm not actually changing the mirrors. Not going to bother about that. Basically, for me, when we get to the desert, which I'm pretty confident that I'll kiss the sand a few times, I'm just going to take them off and put them in my pack. So, how much have I spent? That's the question. Well, the answer is too much. I'm not actually really tracking it, to be fair. It would be too much, and I possibly could have definitely swapped it out and got something a little bit more, I guess, fit for purpose for the long distances. But honestly, this has been done over a period of time. Nearly 12 months, in fact, the lead-up time. And I'll be perfectly honest, half the fun in my mind is the actual lead-up to the adventure and the toying around and playing that we've done. So really enjoyed myself actually putting this all together. Sorry, also, I have got a lowering link in there. These things are tall in the seat. I'm only probably about 5'9", and unfortunately short-legged. And I think this from standard sat 970 odd mil, something like that, from original. And I have put some bigger tyres. I've got a 100 on the front from Motos, a Desert HD, I think it is. But I'll be still sticking with a 130 606 for the rear. So pretty happy about that. So I'll get some gear on it, and I'll walk you through all the gear. I've kept it all pretty light. Well, I think it's pretty light. I'm running just a 40 litre bag on the very back, which has just got clothing and a sleeping bag 10 in it, because mainly I've stuck with the Krieger system, the OS 10 base, and only the 12 litre bag, so it really sort of restricts what I'm doing. And of course the rig gear tank bag, which is I'm just going to be putting a drone and bits and pieces in there, so it's pretty cool. So stand by and I'll put it all together for you. Alright, so here's the gear. Just to give you some background, it is a 14-day trip on the bikes. So I'm going to try something a little bit different for this trip. And I guess it's based on our experience when we travelled around Australia a fair bit. It's not a matter of finding a washing machine. That's generally an issue. When you're moving consistently, it's actually the problem's drying. And because there's a large group of us in pretty remote towns, I can only imagine there's going to be limited equipment and whatnot to do it. So what I've decided to do was to bring 14 pair of socks, 14 pair of jocks, and basically at the end of each day as I'm travelling, I am just going to bin them and come home and buy myself nice fresh socks and jocks. I've got 2 pair of thermal leggings or pants, hopefully a pair for sleeping in and then a pair for riding, and we'll see how that works out. I've got 3 shirts, thermal shirts, again one for sleeping in, and then I'll alternate between the two over the time frame because I'm sure they're going to get a bit smelly. 2 jerseys and just 2 t-shirts. And that's pretty much, other than my bike gear, which is I've got a Kamani jacket and also some Fox pants, I think they are. So yeah, that's about all we're doing there. Also got this jacket, which is a Cedarburg puffer jacket. And I guess I've picked this up because they are very light. A lot of people are wearing them and seem to be the go-to for when you're motorcycle camping, and I know why, because it weighs absolutely nothing. And I hope it actually does keep me warm, because it doesn't feel like much. A bit of a soot coming from the tropics, but it's a Cedarburg. It's a good brand, so hopefully that's going to be right. Got some wet weather pants, ground sheet, wet weather coat just for my rig gear tank bag, which is the only thing that I've got that's not waterproof. Fly net, super handy. I know it saved us before in the territory and also in South Australia. I'm taking 3 pair of gloves, but I'm packing these 2, and the others I'll just ride with in general. So this is a waterproof winter set. Probably end up wearing them on most of the road days, I would imagine. And then for the actual desert crossing, just a pair of Amex gloves there. If I move across to the kitchen area, so I'm only going to be packing 4 meals with me, and also 4 sets of coffee, some protein bars, and just some muesli bars. Reason for that is we will be stopping at a lot of pubs, and also there's plenty of area to get food and support the locals on the trip out there in those remote places. So happy to do that and want to do that. Saves me carrying stuff. Probably don't have the room anyway. That's my little cooker setup. with a little 360. It's just a little butane can setup that goes in. It's a wonderful little setup. No dramas there. Did bring some fire lighters for the opportunity when we can light a fire, which is good. I'll just move down this way for you. So I'll go through my spares. Not a huge amount of spares that I'm carrying for the particular trip. That's just my toolkit, which is a little Oxford kit. Fantastic little toolkit, I've got to say, for a motorbike. I have added a couple of things in there that I've just become, favourites of mine. 5mm arm and some Torx bits that I'll need on the WR, or maybe need on the WR. But yeah, great little kit. Just some metal pulley in case I have a problem with anything that I don't want a problem with. My air pump, not going electric. There's a couple of guys on the trip that have got electric ones. This is a little 2-speeder. Honestly, it pumps up. If I have the unfortunateness of getting a flat tyre, this will get me out of trouble, so that's all I'm concerned about. Some tyre levers, spark plug changer, and of course just some bits and bats, nuts and bolts, some patches, a few little bits and pieces. Nothing, you can't pack everything right, so you just got to sort of summarise what you think might happen and go with that. Clutch lever, not going to take a spare brake lever. Braking just slows you down, to be honest, and I know without a brake lever, I can at least get it somewhere and hopefully buy something. Without a clutch lever, if you're in sand, it's going to be awfully difficult to get it going. One pair of goggles, just tinted goggles. I've got a bell helmet with a clear cover on it, so between the two of them and some sunnies, I'll be right there. Some spare tubes, a fuel pump, a spare Safari fuel tank lid, because they're a little bit unique. And also I've got a switch in there for the WR because I've changed the ignition and put a key start in there. So we'll move into the sleeping quarters. So yeah, got a Cedar Summit sleeping bag. Look, it's rated at -7. Quite big and chunky, I guess, but it's going to go up in the back bag. It's light. I'm not too worried about that, but hey, at the end of the day, you've got to be warm, otherwise it'll just be a miserable trip. So I'll be sleeping in a Mountain Design single-man tent. What I liked about these tents is you don't access it from the end, so it's not like slipping into a sleeping bag, so to speak, with some of those little bivvies that just look like coffins to me. So this thing, you actually access it from the side. It's got a little bit of storage on that side as well, so you can put your boots and whatnot in there if the weather's filthy. So I think this would just be a lot easier for me to get in and out of, being not the smallest guy out there. Got a little, just an out-track seat. We've already used this quite a few times travelling down to Sydney over Christmas. It's a great little chair, no dramas at all. Lightweight, small, compact, fits inside the little OS 12, so pretty happy about that. That's my Cedar Summit air pillow. I haven't actually used it yet, but all intentional purposes, I believe these are pretty good, so going to give it a crack. Also, Cedar Summit air mattress. Have used this already. This is a cracker. Easy to put up, easy to pull down, easy to fold up, and lightweight, so very good. That's about it, I think, for what we've got, what we're taking. Now here comes the challenge. So all of this that we're looking at, we've got to get into the bag system that I'll be using, which is just the 2 Krieger OS 12s, so 12 litre capacity. These things just seem to be, you're able to put stuff in there never ending. It's unbelievable. I've got a 40 litre Barrett bag as well. Both of these are all waterproof, so no worries about that. And also a Regio, I think is how you pronounce it, backpack, which is just it's really just a for water. But what I'll be carrying in this is 3 litres of water, 2 smaller waters, and also my toiletry bag is just going to sit in there. That's it. I don't want to load my body up with too much weight, to be honest with you. So that's it. That's all that's going in there. This little bag here, all the food source stuff that we've had, I'll be what we've trialled is that goes into there, goes into the 40 litre bag as well, and everything fits nice, neat and snug and has its own little spot. So that's everything that we've got to get in there. We've done it. We know it fits. So we'll get it all back in there again and get it on the bike, and I'll show you what that looks like when we're done. Well, that's it. It's packed, ready to go. Obviously, I haven't got my fuel cells filled up just as yet. First leg is 520k, so I'll be filling one up. It just goes up the ends here. I'll just give you some weights, just because I guess it looks big. I guess everything looks big when you put it on the bike. But the heaviest bag I've got is actually this bag here, which had all the tools and the fuel pump, etc., spanners and whatnot in it. Comes in at 9.25. No, hang on a sec. Pause. Alright, well, just with the weights, I guess everything looks pretty heavy, so I thought I would just run through what I've got here. So we weighed each bag individually. So the back bag, which has those 14 jocks and socks in there, it weighs 9.25 kilo. So I'm hoping we'll shed a kilo out of that along the journey, and it should condense a little bit more. Second heaviest bag, I've put on the offside of the exhaust, which has basically got all the tooling, everything spare, all the spares, everything whatnot are in there. That comes in at 6.05 kilos. And this bag over here, which has the everything bar the tent and the sleeping bag in it from a camping perspective, it's only 2.8 kilos, so pretty happy with that actually. So what's that, would be roughly 15, say 17.5, 8, let's say call it 18 kilos, all up in stuff that's only going to get lighter. And then of course I'm carrying 2 10 litre, or actually they're 2 11 litre fuel cells that'll get strapped in here. Like I said, I only going to have one most of the time, but the actual desert crossing there definitely will be 2 filled at that time, so that's an extra 22 kilos going on there. So yeah, all up pretty good. I'd like to actually do an overall weight, so I might take it into work and put it on the weigh bridge and see what it comes up at. But all in all, pretty happy with how that's all come together. I did want to show a couple of other little things. So if you're wondering how I got this OS base system on, so I just made up a couple of little brackets. They've got divots, so that can't rotate, and that's Loctited in there, so shouldn't move. And those divots should hold it in. I just bought them from Bunnings and just had a friend weld them up so they weren't flapping around making noise. There's one on both sides. But yeah, other than that, it went straight on, to be honest with you. There was no issues whatsoever. Yeah, learning from other YouTubers out there, I've put an extra layer of heat resistant foil stuff on the back of the bag there, and also this heat shield there as well, which I know it doesn't seem to come anywhere near the bag, which is good, but just seeing how exhaust had killed many a trip, just wanted to give myself every chance, I guess, of trying to alleviate any sort of heating issues. But yep, got the Dunlop 606 all fitted on the back now. Only had a 120 on there at the start of the video, but we've whacked that on as well, so it is ready to go. We're going to do a shakedown next Friday night out of Mackay. Going to head up to Denham Range, which is not so far out of Mackay. That'll give us some cool camping, that's for sure. It's up on top of the range, and not a difficult track to get in, but certainly it'll give it a shakedown, that's for sure. But very keen to get the show on the road. So yeah, we'll come back to you with the success or not success, or any feedback on you can give. Thanks, eh? Yeah, so bring on that 21st of July when we all jump in a car and head to Longreach. Looking very much forward to that. So yeah, one more thing, look at all the real estate. So we're talking a 450 bike here, and honestly, I'm not the smallest of guys, plenty of room in there, so it should be good. Awesome. Shout out to all the other boys that are joining the troop on the Weakest Piss Adventurers group.
And what are you called? Piss Week Adventure Riders?
Weakest.
Oh yeah, Weakest Piss.